Hello there kids, today we're going to talk about electric current. Okay, what is an electric current? An electric current is a flow of electric charge, or as what we call it, the electricity in an electric circuit. So then again, an electric current is a flow of electric charge in an electric circuit. Okay, so yung kuryente, the electricity. An electric circuit naman is a closed loop that consists of wire, power source, load, and switch. So, of course, you already know what a wire is. As far as I remember, ginawa na rin natin to. Power source refers to your, of course, kung saan nanggagaling yung energy, which is in this case, in the illustration, shows as a battery. Load refers to kung ano yung binibigyan natin ng energy. And in this illustration, as you can see, is a light bulb. Okay, kasi marami tayong binibigyan ng energy. Not just the light bulb. We have the electric fan. Meron tayong television as well. Cell phones ninyo, mga gadgets ninyo na charge ninyo. Okay, so they can be considered as load. Okay, and of course, a switch, which is in this illustration, doesn't show the switch. Pero mamaya, in our next slide, magpapakita tayo ng switch. Okay. Ito naman ngayon. Okay. Hindi pala next slide. Next picture pala yung minimin ko. Sorry. Okay, here. As you can see, hindi siya yung, it's not the typical switch that you can see around your house. No? Pero this is just used for, especially for, in this case nga, yung project, to show the flow of electricity. So we have a switch. We have the power source or the battery, our load, and of course yung mga wire. Okay, so an electric current only flows through conductors such as metal. Okay, kasi sa loob ng usually mga wires kasi are made from copper, no? Copper wires. So, and the switch naman natin, contact between the two ends is basically metal. Kasi kung wala, edi hindi dadaan yung kuryente. Okay, so conductors are materials that allow electricity to pass through. Okay, and materials that don't allow electricity to pass through, such as rubber and plastic. So if you can say may plastic tayo dyan. So these are examples of insulator. They are called insulators. Okay, so bakit ngayon kailangan may plastic? Kasi kung walang plastic, walang rubber, no insulators, most likely makakuryente tayo. And sa battery, most likely, syempre, hindi. I mean, especially in this type of battery. Pero if I were talking about the real power source that you have in your house, you will most likely get electrocuted and die. Okay? So that's why we have mga insulators around us to keep us, to protect us, basically. Okay, so to protect us. Simple electric circuit. So we have your power source, your battery, yung wire natin, yung switch. Sa diagram kasi usually, if you're going to draw a diagram, this is the basic illustration of a switch, a closed switch and an open switch. We also have the load. Okay, so yan yung mga simple basic circuit, yung 4 components na yan, which are the power source, switch, load, and wire. Okay, so these are the basic components of a simple electric circuit. Closed and open circuit. Ano nga bang difference between the two? So if you notice, what do you see or that can somehow differentiate the two? Okay, so kung mapapansin nyo, the one to your left compared to the one to your right, the light bulb is turned on, while this one, it's turned off. Naka-switch off siya. So, what's the cause of that? Comparing to the setup, meron tayong battery, meron tayong load. We have the wires. The only difference here are yung switch natin, ng mga switches. So, if you notice the switch here, it is somehow closed at some point, giving contact between these two. Because since this wire is connected here and this other wire is also connected here, so giving contact between 2 points, allowing electric flow to pass through. Unlike in this case, if you can see that wala, pataas yung switch natin, which means this circuit is basically open. does not allow electricity to pass through. So a closed circuit means electric current passes through the circuit, or in basic terms, syempre, it means it is turned on. Okay, naka-switch on siya, naka-turn on siya. While as for an open circuit, it means that electric current cannot pass through. Okay? So an open circuit means electric current cannot, bakit passes through? Okay. Edit lang muna ito ni Teacher Mark. Okay, so now we are back now. So meron tayong an open circuit means electric current cannot pass through the circuit due to the switch or cut, or in basic terms it means it is turned off or naka-switch off siya. Okay? So yan yung difference between the closed circuit and an open circuit. So this is the closed circuit over here, which basically describes or defines itself, no? Closed siya. So sarado. Electric flow is continuous. While dito naman, open, which means there's no contact between basically the circuit. So that's why it is called an open circuit. Okay? So walang kuryente. Hindi dumadaloy ang kuryente. Okay? So it's not just the switch. Kaya nga I mentioned there it's possible because of a cut. Kasi you basically don't need a switch to basically show a closed or an open circuit. There are certain cases that you just need the battery, the wire, and the load. Pwede nyo na in-connect direct yan. Diretso kaagad. Okay. Sometimes nga, you don't need the wire anymore. You just connect this part directly to the battery. But that is just an illustration. Okay? For illustration purposes lang yun siya. So, two types of circuits. We have the series and parallel. So, what's the difference between the two? So, series connection, by simply looking at both, no? Series circuit and the parallel circuit. Okay. Ano yung nanonotice nyo? If you notice for our series, parang continuous siya. While for a parallel, it can be connected in multiple paths. No? Unlike sa series, there's only one. Talagang isang daanan lang siya. Unlike for a parallel connection, there are multiple. From one point can be separated to multiple connections. Okay? So, in definition, a series circuit only has one path for the current to pass through, which means if one bulb is faulty or broken, electric flow will stop. So, kunwari, if you're going to remove this bulb, these two other bulbs will not work anymore. It will no longer work. Hindi na mag-off yan kasi the flow is not continuous anymore. Okay? Unlike here, if masisira din yan, same point. No connection between the two wires na, so hindi na siya iilaw. Okay, so in a series circuit, an additional information, in a series circuit, the loads sum up to the battery. Anong ibig sabihin nun? If the battery gives off 9 volts, so for example, itong 6 batteries na to, they all sum up to 9 volts. The 3 bulbs, 1, 2, 3, should sum up to 9 volts, having one bulb or each bulb equivalent to 3 volts. So, anong ibig sabihin nun? Sige, let's try natin i-illustrate. So, let's say itong 6 batteries na to is equivalent to 9 volts. Okay? So, 9 volts yan lahat, adding everything. Let's say each, technically, parang 1.5 kada isa. Each battery gives off 1.5 volts. Because of the connection or the setup of the batteries, it now gives off a total of 9 volts. Okay, now, for us to be able to have a well-lit environment, we should have these bulbs limited to their capacity, etong tatlo, in which these 3 bulbs should be equivalent to 9 volts when added. So we have 1, 2, 3 bulbs, no? These all 3 should be equivalent to 9 volts as well. So, yun na nga. So, by standard, dapat parehas din talaga kada isa. Each bulb should be equivalent to the other. Okay, so ibig sabihin we can divide that equally, which means each bulb should give us 3 volts each. Okay? So dapat ganun yung pagbigay ng voltage sa atin ng bulbs din. Okay? So once you're going to have 5 volts each, if you notice that the power will now be smaller than expected, kasi kung 5 plus 5 plus 5, it should give us 15. But our battery source is only 9. So, technically, the light will be a little dim. Yung light bulbs natin will not be able to shine up to its potential. Okay, yung limit niya. So, limited lang siya. So, that is how a connection works for a series circuit. But for a parallel connection, so assuming that these all 3 batteries will also give us 9 volts lang. Example lang para common ang ating example. 9 volts. So for a parallel connection or a parallel circuit, ang kailangan kasi dito, each load sums up to the battery. If the battery gives off 9 volts, each bulb should be 9 volts as well. So kung kanina sa series, dapat the light bulbs should have a total equivalent to the battery source. Dito naman, kada isang kada isang bulb should give us an equivalent of the same power source. Okay? So dito kasi 3 volts lang tayo. So then again, a parallel circuit can have multiple paths, which means if one bulb is faulty, broken, or turned off, electric flow will still flow. It will still be present. Dadaan pa rin yan. Kasi at this point, let's say ikakat natin tong wire dito. If you notice that there is still electric flow here, dadaan pa rin yung kuryente dyan. Even if you're gonna destroy this bulb, remove it, electric flow is still present. Unlike here, if you're going to cut the wire here, as you can see, the electric flow naman is also cut as well. Unlike for a parallel connection, makikita nyo that even if you're going to cut at this point, may kuryente pa rin. Unless kung dito nyo ikakat. If you're going to cut it here, so wala ng electric flow. But that doesn't basically make a point. Okay? So, then again, these are the 2 basic types of circuits, the series and the parallel circuits. Okay, so basic information lang yan. Okay, so that's pretty much about the basic of electric current. Okay.